And now we welcome to the era of EdTech 5.0, where learning meets intelligence, personalization, and immersive experiences. And for that, may I invite our panelists, Dr. Prem Das Maheshwari, Director, South Asia D2L Session Moderator, and Dr. Priyadarshan Patra, Vice Chancellor, NIST University, Berhampur. Can we have both of them, please, on the stage? And they'll be taking on the session of how emerging technologies are redefining education at work. Thank you so much. Okay, can we also invite Dr. Satyabrata Minaketan, Chairman, ODM Educational Group, Bhubaneswar. Dr. Sunil Kumar Patnaik, Chairman, Sudhananda Group of Institutions, Bhubaneswar. Dr. Prakash Kumar Hota, Vice Chancellor, Dreams University, Cuttack. Professor Vibhuti Bhushan Pradhan, Pro Vice Chancellor and Registrar, Shiksha Anusandhan University. Professor Sabita Acharya, Vice Chancellor, Utkal University, Bhubaneswar. Do we have all the panelists on the stage? Okay, can we please invite them one by one? Do we have all of them over here? Sunil Kumar Patnaik, sir. Priyadarshan Patra, Vice Chancellor, NIST University, Berhampur. Dr. Prakash Kumar Hota.
Okay, thanks. I think three of us, but let's have a sort of a fireside chat rather than the typical panel discussion. And a very new topic, which is EdTech 5.0. The education industry has just started talking about EdTech 5.0, and the topic of this particular discussion was that how emerging technologies are redefining the education and work, which means both the higher education and the jobs. Because EdTech 5.0 is the next avatar of the previous EdTech's versions that were prevalent in our industry. Now, what it does is that EdTech 5.0, it marks the next wave of transformation, in the education, which combines the nuances of AI, extended reality, which is also called as XR, the blockchain, and advanced data analytics, juxtaposed with the human element, which means that hyper-personalized education, immersive education, and decentralized learning experiences. Now, what it does is that both from the educational institution purposes as also from the student purposes, what it does is that it talks about highly personalized education delivery. It is just like the concept of pizza. The base remains the same, the toppings vary depending on what you want to consume. So it's individualized learning tracks that are generated using various digital technologies, but with the human element. So far, technology was very, very mundane, very, very artificial. So it's the objective is not to make completely artificial, but make it hybrid, a combination of artificial intelligence and human intelligence both together. So with this EdTech 5.0 coming into forefront, how the education domain is changing is what we three of us will discuss. And the idea is to discuss about what defines EdTech 5.0 and how it is different from its earlier versions. How can institutions effectively integrate the emerging technologies like XR, like blockchains, like artificial intelligence, into the current teaching and learning pedagogies and andragogies? How can we ensure the digital equity while adopting emerging technologies? Because digital equity is a discussion that we've been talking about since morning. There's a lot of digital divide. There are haves and have-nots even in the digital consumption. So how do we address that challenge when we are moving towards the new version of EdTech 5.0? And what are the implications and effects of EdTech 5.0 in the future workforce? Because today, when we are preparing students in our institutions, it is not just to make them job ready, but it is basically with the objective of making them life ready. How new age technologies are going to impact their learnings, which eventually are going to transform into their work ethics and work life. With a lot of unethical, I mean, the previous session I was listening, they were talking about unethical use of AI, and that we are seeing it very prominently in our educational institutions. So how is it going to impact the future of our youngsters who are currently studying in our educational institutions? So that's the theme that we will discuss about. So I'll go to you, sir. So what are your views about the education at Tech 5.0? Sir.
Thank you. Just before starting that, we have the 2 points, that is education and works. But I recall, during when I was studying in class 10, there was a joke. The papa, a rich papa, asked to his son, "Beta, what do you want?" That Beta answered, "What you can give to me?" That Papa answered, "Okay, whatever you want, that means I will give a machine to you. So what, anything is possible or everything is possible, you can get out of it. Because as you know, I am richest man of the world." But answer was from the Beta, "Papa, okay, right. Everything is available, but without the switch. So that is, if that is suppose, if I do not know or I need, that is, I do not want that is to put the switch and so that I can get everything. A robot will come and feed me, but I have to, that is, touch the switch." So now the AI has become real, that kind of machine, and everywhere, but without, the time will come, no one can work without. So the now question comes the education. Education, that question comes, AI is the substitute of a teacher. Now we are afraid of it. So why the student will come to school or classroom? If everything is giving in the AI, anything you ask, you can get it. So from that point of view, that means the students are becoming nowadays that is smarter. And the teacher, it is a challenge between that education system is about the 3 points, the learner, the teacher, and the parents. But how we are coordinating between 3? The second challenge, information we are getting from the AI. All kind of information we are getting from the AI without hesitation, with no moment. But what about the wisdom? The knowledge we are getting, information we are getting, but the wisdom. The teacher has to prepare himself how to inculcate that kind of that is the wisdom among the children. Because nowadays the teacher is not required to pass the information, but teacher simply was passing the information through textbook, or that is preparing the PowerPoint and teaching in the class. But now it is not required at all. Even so that our Khan Academic, there is one software is there, home tutor, and everything you can get. A student can get the PowerPoint, student can get the answer, everything. So it is a greater challenge nowadays for all the educators, the teachers like us. We should be more smarter than the kids. Generally, the students say that is all the children say, "Papa," even he is the son of the Prime Minister, he says, "Papa, you do not know anything." If the papa try to teach anything at home, the answer comes from the child, "Papa, you do not know." My teacher, what he says, and he is the right. That is definitely it is happening. So nowadays comes, now teacher is not required, and that is our biggest challenge. The third thing is, there will be the gap between the rural students and the urban. Because to know that is technology, what is spreading very fast, and we all are getting the opportunities. But that means in that way also, the students from rural background, or there are many places, they have to update themselves, because there will be lot of gap and discrimination. But examination system is one. Like a student is reading in the same Board of Secondary Education or CBSE. Remote school students, they don't have the opportunities. Like that is the lab. Now, you can ask that is the lab ka digital lab. It is not required that is you go to lab. But that kind of instrument is not available. They cannot get that a economic background child cannot avail the opportunity. So these are the challenges are coming. Our government should prepare, and we should prepare to face the future challenges. So that means if it will be compensated, and that means the education and our work can go together.
Thank you so much, sir. Very insightful.
May I please invite Dr. Priyadarshan Patra, Vice Chancellor, NIST University, Barampur, to come on the dais.
Welcome, sir. Thank you. So I think let's continue. We missed you, sir, and I think very interesting discussion about EdTech 5.0. In a previous roundtable conversation, we were also discussing about EdTech 5.0 with you. But before that, I'll just go to you, sir. Your views about the nuances of EdTech 5.0 and our preparedness in terms of educational institutions to adapt these nuances. Emerging technologies, yes.
So, good afternoon to all of you. I am privileged to share my views on this occasion. First of all, I will say that as the topic speaks about evolution of technology in education, it is not a new concept. Much earlier it was used, but how it has been evolving, that only the present day discussion. So you can recall long back when you were a student, almost all of us, we are using slide projectors. Some teachers, they used to use the radios also to supplement the conventional teaching. Is it not? Next. But the most influential or the most remarkable change has occurred when the digital computers were introduced into the classroom. From there, actually interactive educational program concept has evolved. Then in 1990, when the development of internet was there, then with the emergence of search engine and online learning platforms were evolved, then the remarkable change has occurred. So the teaching was, the students were enjoying the teaching because many things which a teacher cannot draw, cannot remember, he had not written into the notebooks also. He can, through the internet, immediately on the spot, he can download some kind of animation he can show, some kind of picture in the schools he can show. So the teaching becomes enjoyable. And students, they concentrate. Even the last bencher, he will be looking at this. Now, today, we are talking about, sir told some 5.0, industry 4.0, many concepts has come. What exactly it speaks about? Actually, today, the emerging technology, everybody knows it is artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality, blockchain technology, data analytics, 3D printing, metaverse learning concepts, so many things have evolved. Now to start with, what the artificial intelligence tells in the student, school student, if we talk about the neural network, how this program is created, they will not understand, they will not appreciate also. Then for the school student, for the educators, what way the AI is helpful. That we have to understand. We should train our teacher how the AI can be inbuilt into the curriculum so that it can facilitate various domains. So what is the ultimate goal? Ultimate goal is that the learning performance should be increased. Students should not forget whatever it has been taught into the classrooms, because you can remember in the schools when we are students, who were the teacher, what he has taught, still I remember. But today's student, BTech student, if you ask, who was the teacher who was teaching you the network theory? No. That means knowledge retention concept is not there. So AI, what it does, in simple language I can tell, it can help you to personalize the learning of the students. How? Once the personalization of learning of the students can be done by the teacher. In the schools also it can happen by some algorithm, technology I am not talking about. Then what it does, what it helps the educator. So he can changes the learning behavior, learning pattern, the learning content also. That is the power of AI. So similarly, some of the subjects like medicine, like biology, like electrical engineering, some concept teacher wants to talk to you. Is it feasible? No. I always debate, but to become a mechanical engineer is much easier. Because the phenomena, refrigeration and air conditioning, I can feel, I can touch, but electrical power system, how the power is flowing, who has seen it? There is again real power, there is a reactive power. Students get confused. They cannot understand. How to make them understand? Because the concept, these are the concepts, only imagination. A student, if will quarrel to the teacher, sir, you are telling the power will flow in this direction. Why not in this direction? Neither the teacher has seen it, nor the student has seen it. What is the answer? Here, the augmented reality, virtual reality, then today the concept is a metaverse environment. A three-dimensional digital space will be created when the student will be allowed to interact, to manipulate the virtual object. Not only the virtual object, he is able to manipulate the environment where these virtual objects are moving. Then a deeper learning will be possible. When the deeper learning is possible, his critical thinking will be going to reach a new dimension. Similarly, so many concepts are there. My point is that what is our ultimate aim? Our ultimate aim is that we are not going to teach only according to the syllabus. We have to see, we have to test the effectiveness of your teaching, your pedagogical method. If it is not reaching to the last bench of the student, then your teaching is not effective. Then what is the answer then? You have to use these tools. These tools can do miraculous things. You talk to the medicine. Medicine, so many, since I am going to a medical college also, in my university I have seen, doctors are prescribed, students are not able to understand. So how come this thing has done this thing? Because the biology, only concept they have seen, something called gene editing. By doing the gene editing, lot of things can be done. We engineers also, we believe in gene editing. What the gene editing talks about? It talks about that it gives you the power to a group of scientists who can change the DNA of any organism. By saying so, it looks very good. Have you seen the DNA? Where is that platform? It is not possible for all medical colleges to equip all those things. You can argue. You put the money, you can create. I can see. If the scientist can able to see, why not the student will see? That is not possible everywhere. Is it possible? Then this metaverse-enabled digital learning platform will definitely help you. You can create the things. You can feel the things. You can talk. You can collaborate in real time. Today, this is the technology where the students can think. Their critical thinking can improve. They can innovate the things. By saying simply in the classroom teaching, do the innovation, it will never happen. So everybody has to accept that in a slow scale also, very small stage also. The digital technology has to be incorporated at every stage of education. For an example, in DAV school, I am giving my example. My wife, she happens to be a Hindi teacher. NCERT told, a Hindi teacher must know the machine learning. Now you can argue. A Hindi teacher will be telling you the literature. the grammar, the syntax, the meaning, what this will do. Because answer was there and the argument was there. When a teacher will be assigned to teach the Hindi subject or a language subject with so many, this is the frame of syllabus. If a student, literature student, if he is interested to know much more than that, then what the teacher will do? In the book it is not there, in the syllabus it is not there, then AI will help you. That means AI is having a power, some data are there, he can extrapolate the thing. He can create the new knowledge. So Hindi teacher must know that also. So he doesn't know how this AI will be working, what is the algorithm, but to operate this thing. So my last words is that there are several challenges also. Many of you agree with me. But thing is that if we proactively address those challenges, don't stop there. You have to substantiate to the learners, to the students that these are the clear-cut benefits offered by this emerging technology. Then I'm 100% sure all the educational institute can equip their students with necessary competency, that confidence, so that they can tackle any complex real-world situation. That should be the education philosophy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Patra, so your words about EdTech 5.0, though we are not left with much time, but still, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. EdTech is not about replacing teachers. It's about empowering our teachers to do what humans do the best. That is, nurturing creativity, instilling ability to think critically, encouraging to be lifelong learners, and empathy as well. That is building character. So EdTech is really a journey from its early days of EdTech 1.0 to 5.0, as they say. EdTech 1 was about digitization of basic information. Maybe it's a photograph, an audio, or a video. EdTech 2 was about making it mobile friendly or mobilification. It's available on your phones, for example. EdTech 3 was all about putting it in the cloud, making SaaS platforms. So that means, what is it? Scaling up to large number of people. And EdTech 4 was the introduction of AI ML into EdTech. That is perhaps generative AI, Gen AI. And EdTech 5.0 that you are all talking about is obviously very futuristic. It's all about human intelligence and machine intelligence being subjected to a symbiosis. So EdTech 5.0 is about adaptive learning. It is about personalized learning and personalized teaching and learning as well. So EdTech, I truly believe, is something that is a double-edged sword. Anything that has tremendous power sits on an edge of possibilities. It could be used to great advantages. It can be used to, cause destruction if not done ethically, thoughtfully, and morally. If you recall, India was a superpower, many centuries ago. Indian kings and emperors could deploy elephants to crush the enemies. The elephants were that time's AI power. Okay, the swords, we say the sword is a double-edged sword, we call it, right? So, but what happened when the Mughals attacked? You had the elephants, which were very powerful, but you didn't realize that in the front of cannons that can come and hit the elephants, which will go crazy and berserk. They will run around and crush your own army, and that's how we lost. Okay, so that what does it imply? It means we must be truly ready, thoughtful, careful, but we must be hopeful. If you look at the history of any great technology, for example, the handlooms, the heirlooms that were discovered, invented in the British, the UK. In those days, when these were, everything was getting done through manual work. There were weavers who were creating clothes. But when these machines were invented, there was a huge upheaval in their society. People thought that everybody will lose their job, they would be jobless, the economy will stop, etc. However, through persistence and thoughtfulness, that same heirloom gave them world power. You know, they even conquered India in those days. So in other words, what I'm saying, the power of AI and the EdTech, which is harnessing the power of AI, truly, EdTech 5.0, has the ability to truly be transformative. Specific concerns are there. We have to be very careful about. I have mentioned cost as a concern. I have mentioned its implementation. See, most of the time you may have fantastic policies, but if it is not implemented, executed properly, it could be actually negative than having any policy. And training our faculty. People talk about students learning AI. I am quite concerned about our faculty being ready to teach and inspire their students to adopt new technologies and do it better. Even in the advanced countries such as United States, the faculty members there revolted. When in 2022, end of it, ChatGPT came, there was a significant concern about plagiarism and cheating. And over time, the faculty realized it's better to constrain students from learning using new technology, meaning banning AI or ChatGPT or anything. Rather, teach them how to understand and use ethically and responsibly AI and actually advance their knowledge and be a better student, better researcher, and a better engineer or doctor or whatever. And language, sir here mentioned about Hindi. There is a lot of relevance. Multilingual, I can think of if you had a multilingual AI system, those students who come from, let's say, the tribal areas of Koraput, Balangir, or Kolahandi, they may not understand the Hindi, proper, pure Hindi. What about if we use AI to enable them to learn Hindi? Or, you can imagine 100 cases yourself. So it's all about what we do of this powerful technology and leverage. And there we have to pool our resources, our thought, our brainware, our brain share, so that as a society we make strong strides while keeping the right guardrails of AI biasness, as fairness in the AI system, the so-called hallucination that you hear that comes from fake or specious data that AI gives, or it gives, nowadays that is a concern, and research is going on, and enabling that in the education ecosystem is absolutely important. I'll be happy to take any follow-up question. There is so much to say. We cannot stop, and we professors have the disease of speaking. So I will stop here.
So thank you so much. I think, would you like to summarize, sir?
I don't have, sir, any query. If you are having, you can ask.
Yeah, but I think a little word about it. EdTech 5.0, I think this is a very critical version of education technology, because it has started talking about human intelligence, not just artificial intelligence. The combination of artificial plus human intelligence is what we are heading towards, and this is very positive development, because we all know, sir talked about ethical use of AI, and this is a major concern. That's one of the challenges. So I think when we're talking about the human part or the human piece in the artificial intelligence, I think it's going to make difference, and we are all in the process of evolving, and I think we'll further improve. So over to you to conclude.
Rightly you have pointed out. So, first of all, that we should be very careful about our mental health support system, because AI gives the knowledge, AI gives the information, it is better way. But one thing, how mentally we should be we should be well to handle the AI, because our intelligence should work properly on the right way. The number two challenges is that equal opportunities to give in to all the citizens of world or India. Third challenge we have the multilingual content to be developed. Because sometimes, that is few days back, when I was using the AI, in English it was all the right information. If I say Oriya, completely idhar udhar karke aa raha hai. So I was not able to understand what he is giving, because Odia it was not so good. Because there are some people, they cannot understand the English or the Hindi, because we use our mother tongue. So similarly, if a student multilingual content he cannot get, that because our diversity of language we have. So that is another challenge. So sometimes we should be very careful for it.
Thanks to all my co-panelists for this wonderful discussion. Though I think time was less, but this is a topic we can discuss the whole day. But what's very good is that we are emerging, we are qualifying ourselves to be better adapter of technology, and in our teaching and learning, and also the university management, the students, the faculties, the parents, everyone is attuning to the nuances of the technology. Thank you so much.
All right, can we have a big round of applause for all the panelists on the stage? I mean, of course, like as Sir said, the discussion could go on for a prolonged period of time, but we have a stipulated time. But the enriching knowledge that you all shared, I think it's an honor to have you all. And for that, we'll be felicitating all of you. And may I invite Dr. Prem Das Maheshwari, Director, South Asia D2L Session Moderator, to felicitate Dr. Satyabrata Minaketan, Chairman, ODM Educational Group, Bhubaneswar. Ladies and gentlemen, a little bit big round of applause. And now to Dr. Priyadarshan Patra, Vice Chancellor, NIST University, Berhampur. And now to Dr. Prakash Kumar Hota, Vice Chancellor, Dreams University, Cuttack. And may I now request Dr. Satyabrata Minaketan, Chairman, ODM Educational Group, Bhubaneswar, to felicitate Dr. Prem Das Maheshwari, Director, South Asia D2L, who was a session moderator of the day.